Today's lesson is Chapter 6, Lesson 8, Misleading Graphs. Today we're not going to make graphs, we're going to look at graphs and we're going to see what is wrong or misleading about a graph that might change what we think about a graph and give us the wrong idea. So let's take a look at this first example. This graph is one that shows stadium seating capacity, and it shows the Rose Bowl, Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, and it shows Oklahoma's stadium, what the capacity is. Now if we look at those and we just looked at that graph, what's one conclusion we might accidentally come to? One conclusion we might accidentally come to is look at Oklahoma Stadium right there. Its bar is only that big, but then look at Memorial Stadiums. It's this big. So we might come to the conclusion that Memorial Stadium is like 5 or 6 times as big, because look at how much bigger Memorial Stadium's bar is than Oklahoma. Well, is that really 5 times as big? Well, let's take a look at the numbers. You see Oklahoma's right about 82,000. And Memorial Stadium, if you look at it, is right about 92,000. And Rose Bowl's is about 92,500. But if you just look at the bar graph, it looks like the Rose Bowl and Memorial Stadium, it looks like they're like 5 times bigger, because look how much bigger these two are than Oklahoma's bar. But really, is 92,000, is that 5 times as big as 82,000? Not at all. Really, it's not that big of a difference when it comes to football stadiums. So the way that this graph was misleading is because the bars made it look like Memorial Stadium was 5 times bigger. Because we started out at 80,000 instead of starting at 0. Is it okay to start some graphs not at 0? Yes. However, sometimes it can make our graphs misleading. So the reason, if it asks on our homework, if it says, what is the reason that this graph is misleading, you would say, it looks like Memorial Stadium and the Rose Bowl are far, far bigger than Oklahoma, like 5 times bigger. But really, they're not, because our graph starts at 80,000. Let's take a look at another example. Here's another example. This is a line graph that shows us salary at a job, how much the person makes after so many years. So if you look at this graph, if you just look at it, it looks like at this job, look at this line, it gradually goes up. It just gets a little bigger and a little bigger. So that's what our graph would tell us if we were just looking at it. But look over here. Look over to the left side and tell me what is misleading about it. Think about it for a second. Okay, what's misleading is that our intervals are all screwed up. We go from 8 to 9, but then we go from 9 to 20, and then we go from 20 to 30. So if you look at this, it looks like after the first year, the person made about $8 and maybe 20 cents. After the second year, it looks like they made $9. But then look at, after the third year, they made $20, and the fourth year, they made $30. That's not exactly a gradual bump up, is it? So what's misleading about this graph is that intervals are misleading and make us think that it's a gradual rise in pay, when really what we should have here, since our lowest numbers, we have 8, 20, 9, 20, and 30. We should probably count up by 5s on this one. And we could start out at 5. Well, this could be 5 here. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and then do another one up here. 30. And if we did it that way, and we remade that graph, First year would be 820, so it'd be about right there. The second year would be at 9, so it'd be about right there. The third year would be at 20, so it'd be way up here. And the fourth year would be at 30. And if you do that line, you can see that really it makes a huge jump, and then another huge jump. But we didn't see that in the first graph because our intervals were all messed up. So make sure that your intervals are appropriate. So that's what's misleading. So now I've showed you a couple of different ways that graphs might be misleading. I'm going to give you one more, and I want you to write down what is misleading about this graph. You can bring it for tomorrow. So here's the last one. This is the one I want you to do for homework. This is a graph that shows Larry's height, and it shows how high he is going up this side and how old he is going up this side. And I want you to look and see what the error is in the way that this graph was put together, and write down what is the misleading part about this graph. We will talk about it tomorrow. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.